Okay. That we're not using that intro. I just wanted to do that.
You just want to see if I freak out, and I did. Yeah.
I did. All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's start over. So, hey, welcome to the Closing Time Podcast. I'm joined by Miss Amy Gant.
Hello, hello.
How is your mom?
I knew you were going to ask about my mom. My mom is great. She adores you. We still don't know why, but she says hello.
Well, you tell her hello. I'm sure she will watch this while
sure she will.
she's going to sleep at night. And I mean, because it's probably going to be boring night. And she'll want to go to sleep, and she'll be proud of her girl.
So do we explain that you like to harass my mom, or we just let that go and make you wonder?
No, mom's like me.
Mom's
I'm
like
polite.
you.
I'm nice. And I pay her a little attention.
You pay her a lot of attention.
Yes, I do.
Sometimes, yes, you do. And she cooks for you.
She has. She hasn't in a while. We need to fix that.
Oh, you have to. Well, if she's watching this, I'm sure they'll be corrected very soon. So,
yes.
Want chicken or you want cakes?
Ooh, the fried chicken, yeah.
She makes good fried chicken.
She does.
Dorothy makes the fried chicken.
Let's talk about Dorothy. So how did Dorothy influence your life to become a real estate agent? Can you connect it at all?
You know, in hindsight, nobody's ever asked me that. So I grew up in, I was loved. We have a great family. But my parents weren't fluffy. Like, they didn't go, you're pretty and you're smart. Like, yeah, you're going to have to work harder for that. You're going to have to figure that out.
So she said, you're not very pretty. You're going to have to work hard.
No, I never walked around believing I can do anything. I knew that certain things in life were going to take more work. And so I wanted to go to a big university, graduate from high school. And she said, absolutely not. You're not mature enough to do this. You'll go off. You'll make stupid mistakes. If you want to go to college, prove you can do it. And I went to a small 2-year school first. I hate to say mother knows best, but she knew what she was doing. I probably wasn't mature enough to go off to a bigger school. So once I was in school and was a little more grounded, because teenage girls can not be so grounded at times, imagine that.
Oh.
She did encourage me to go find something I was good at. She knew I was good with people. I don't think real estate was actually on anybody's radar. I was actually a communications major with an emphasis in public relations. I've worked for a TV station. I've worked for a marketing and events companies. And
so how long have you sold real estate?
Over 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Wow. So you started late. That means you were in your 40s when you started.
That is so not true, but
30s,
it feels that way.
30s.
It feels that way.
Yeah. Okay. Which you don't sell real estate anymore.
No, I'm actually a managing broker.
You are the managing broker. And some big news came out that the lady that's taken over Noonan.
Yeah, that's right. Julie Mobley. So
Which you were doing Noonan, weren't you?
Well, I was filling it.
You were just covering it.
Our broker in Noonan actually stepped back from managing, and managing, look, it's hard. I commend anybody who does it and then steps back from it. Julie actually took over our Fayetteville office whenever I switched into a regional position based out of our Peachtree City office. And so she has been my counterpart. And so we have a new broker we've added to Henry County that relieved her of some duties over there.
Okay.
So we realigned our Southern Crescent. So now we've got our culture and our agents down consistently down I-75 and down 85. And it's going to be a better balance of people, of sales, of culture, everything together. So I think we've got a good team formed right now. It's going to be good. It's great. I like it.
And you and Miss Julie are just bestest friends, right?
I'm very
You
fortunate.
always speak so highly of her. I don't know Julie very well.
Oh, you should get to know her.
I
You should
need
have
to.
her on.
The way you speak of her, I need to meet her.
So,
or spend time with her.
Here's something you may or may not know about women. First of all, real estate, just in case you're wondering, women don't always trust other women. And what am I doing? I'm in a female-dominated industry. When Julie came along, I interviewed her for an agent position and saw something right there, like, okay, there's something more here, because she had a management background and she grew into this position, but she's been a partner, a counterpart, and I say she's the yin to my yang. We approach things so different. She's very analytical. She's very linear. It's black and white. I am more visual. I look at the big picture. So I'm the one that's going to come in and go, so where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? You're not thinking big enough. And we paint the big picture. She then comes in and she can go, okay, now we're going to structure this, have the accountability in place. So it makes a fantastic team. But what I like about her is that she's honest. They'll say, hey, these pants make me look big, or these pants, are they too long? She'll go, yeah, they do. She cannot tell
me,
why.
yeah.
No, you are brutal. You're mean. There's a difference.
No.
She is constructive. No, you bring out the worst in me, and I think sometimes I bring out the worst in you.
So are you the queen of real estate in Fayette County, or the princess of real estate in Fayette County? Or the town jester?
I feel like the town gesture. No, I like to say I'm more like the servant. My job is to help the agents hit all of their goals and make sure consumers are taken care of along the way. Real estate's about selling a house, but it's so much more. We help people build wealth. Think about it. Whatever you pay for your house.
I don't think people think about that.
But
enough.
you are. And so, I mean, my children have a college account. I wish, like anything, when they were born, or even before the age of 3, I would have purchased an investment property and put it on a 15-year mortgage. It would have been paid off, and it would have outperformed their 529. Sorry to my financial people out there. And we'd have money left over.
See, that's interesting, because this is something we don't want to talk about in real estate, and I don't know the answer, but I was listening to some traders talk, and they were joking because home builder stocks are down, and they were talking about, isn't it funny that they've been cramming that homeownership is the American dream down our throats all our lives, but if you look at, everybody's like, but look how much equity I've got. Well, and they use examples, you paid $400,000 for that house, and it appreciated to $600, and you feel great, but you did a 30-year mortgage and paid $700 when you include interest and everything.
Okay.
So their whole thought was like, well, is it really a good investment to buy a house when...
Okay, so what would it cost you to live from month to month anyway? And where would you do it?
I don't think they factor that in.
I mean, at least I'm getting
damn traders,
something.
they don't know what they're talking about. I knew there was an answer. I was like, that's a fair point, but you do have to rent.
You can't live anywhere for free.
Right.
So it's going to cost you something, so you're getting a bigger return. And we've had bigger returns really the past 5 years that I've ever seen in my entire career.
Yes. And so what does that mean for the next generation? Do you think there's going to be a stall in values for a little while? And hell, a stall is 4% appreciation is what it feels.
Well,
if it only appreciates 4%, that's...
Even if it only appreciates 2.5%. We were in double-digit appreciations,
yes.
Especially right here in this area. It has been crazy. So the rate of acceleration was doing this. Now it's probably doing this,
yes.
A little slower. So that needed to happen. I'll go argue interest rates. I loved a 3% rate, but that was, it created this artificial reality that, oh, that's normal. There was nothing normal about a 3% interest rate. It was great for those of us who were able to take advantage of it. But if you go back and you look over 50 years, 100 years, 7% is pretty steady.
Yeah.
It's pretty average.
And so that's the lock-in effect that is a buzzword. I did a video on that several months ago, but they're still talking about it. It's lingering longer than people expected. The lock-in effect is that people have these 3% and they do not want to let them go.
That's right.
And the number is dropping.
Yeah.
Where it was like 55% of people had 3% or under.
Yep.
And I think it's dropped below that. Not a huge amount, but it is dropping. I think it's getting to the point now where people are used to it and they just have to move. I mean, people have to go place to place.
So the good news is, I think I saw a study, I want to say it was by Lawrence June with NAR, say that we are more invested in our homes in America than we've ever been at any other time in history, which is kind of a cool thing. So at one time, I had no appreciation for equity. It's like you only have it if you use it. Otherwise, it's just sitting there. But now that more homes are coming on the market, now there's still not an oversupply or anything like that, but we're up probably, depending on the county, 40 to 60% than from where we were 18 months ago. So sellers are now, they didn't want to sell a home. They had a great mortgage, a great monthly payment on, to not have a place to go and live or have to settle for something they didn't want.
Right.
Now we actually have some selection on the market, and
a lot of selection.
I saw a stat today, and I hope I'm getting this right.
No
Georgia
one's gonna
MLS,
fact
from the
check it.
beginning of the year to now, 84% of homes that have sold have had a seller concession. That's huge. That sellers are actually contributing to closing costs in some
84%. So what was that? I figure in 2021 was probably two was the peak. It maybe was 20%.
If that. You got to think about, buyers.
So what would you say is normal for seller concessions? And what a seller concession is means the seller is contributing towards closing cost, or would you count if they're repairing something, fixing it, warranted this? So those are all seller concessions.
Anytime they're coming off that price, off that contract price, and giving the buyer
giving
something
you
in
anything.
addition. Yes. So if you go back historically, if you go when a house is priced appropriately, not only at any price, but within market range, average sales price to list price has been 97%. Now 2020, 2021, we were seeing 103%, 105% on average, because buyers were making more than list price to get into a home. Now that number is coming back down, and we're averaging to that 97% again. So buyers feel like there's some negotiation.
Yeah.
Sellers are starting to realize there's some negotiation and get a little more strategic about their pricing.
And I think that balance needs to happen because people either need to help with their down payment because the down payments are larger now with the price of houses, but they can also use that to buy down rates and to pay a point or do a temporary buy down or just whatever it is. And I think it's easier pill to swallow if me as a buyer, I don't have to pay $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 worth of closing costs because we keep telling them that marry the house, date the rate, that they're going to refi in a couple of years. And they've got to be thinking, wow, I'm paying $12,000 in closing costs. I'm going to pay $12,000 again in 2 years. So it's nice to be able to get the seller to pay those closing costs.
Well, and know what you're paying for. Know what you're asking for.
Yeah.
Get with somebody who's creative, and you don't have to know it all. But think about it. People live in the monthly payment. The average consumer, 2 years after they buy their home, cannot remember what they paid for it. But yet we have contracts we have houses that don't go to contract over $1,000. And the reality is we live in the monthly payment. What payment do you not want to exceed? Before I talk about pricing, what do you want to pay each month?
That's a good way to advertise that.
When I'm talking about closing costs, I would want a lender or an agent to recommend, okay, we're going to ask for $7,000 or $8,000, maybe it's $10,000, depending on what kind of offer we're putting in and what the price point is. But I would suggest a buy down. And 10 years ago, I would have said, oh, I'd never do it. Yeah. Rates were lower. But right now, if a buy down could get me in a lower monthly payment, I'd be crazy not to do it because that's what I'm going to live in.
And the good thing about the temporary buy downs, whether you're only buying it down for a year or two, is if you do end up refinancing or anything, you get your money back. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like that money's just held in an escrow to pay that difference.
I don't think people realize that.
No, they probably don't.
That you could actually get that back.
Yeah, so you get it back if you refinance or close. So,
okay, cool.
This is all boring. Nobody wants to hear about real estate.
It's work. Let's talk about that.
I do want to talk about Kathy Becknell.
Becknell, yeah.
You know Kathy?
I do, Kathy. So you've complimented my decor in my home. Not only is she a realtor, but she's actually done she's got great taste.
Is she any good at selling houses?
Terrible. I'm kidding. She's awesome. She's good.
Is she good?
Yeah.
Is she going to be able to sell my neighbor's house? She has the neighbor's house listed.
I just saw that. I saw Cass and Kathy over there.
Yeah.
She has a great eye, and she has this finesse with people. Yeah.
I don't know if she's done the coaching. I don't know if you'd call it coaching, but I've not been inside. But the work that has been done over the last 3 weeks to stage it, I mean, there have been more contractors and everybody. So she must give very good guidance.
Well, again, I don't have any decorating taste. When you come,
Christmas trees, you do.
I do not. I like my Christmas trees. I can go out.
You can sell the hell out of a house during Christmas.
I could do it. I love Christmas. I love the lights. I love the gifts. I love the people. It's my happy place. And my Christmas trees are no longer out, just so you know. They were moved recently.
Oh, good.
You busted me on that.
In July?
Well, I had basement issues, and then I had to rearrange some things, but now they're back where they belong.
Okay.
But, yeah, she'll go in, she's going to stage, and I think right now, I know you don't want to talk about homes anymore, but homes that are staged are selling quicker.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. I saw a great post in one of the forums about the agent just said, I've been doing this for a while, and I just feel lost. because this house isn't moving and it should. And she uploaded some of her marketing, and people just gave her great feedback, and it was just such good energy.
Yes.
And everything made sense. And a lot of it was back to, hey, this is what you should change about the staging. There were people in it. And you need to emphasize the lake, right, and memories and all that. So it was just really cool to see. And a lot of people circle back to the staging of the house. They're like, you're showing that empty bedroom, and that bedroom looks tiny.
Well,
You've got to,
it's like a selling
it's just a
condo.
box.
It's walls and floors.
Right.
You can't spatially, you can't tell.
Yeah.
Now on the other end, sometimes we take photos and we zoom so far out, it looks like it's going to be the biggest kitchen you've ever seen. It's like, oh, this is it. Oh, here's one wall and there's the other. So
do you think Kathy can sell a house if a neighbor is trying to sabotage the sale and don't want the neighbors to leave? What if, say, they blow the leaves off at 5:30 every morning?
It could take a little longer. People always go out and meet the neighbors. I prefer to wait until they're under contract and walk over during the home inspection.
Do they do that?
Oh my gosh, yes. Neighbors will go over during home inspection. That's when they spill tea. Yes, you will find out.
So it would be my job to go over there
Yes.
and go, what are you doing? You moving in here?
There's something buried in the backyard. Yeah, all kinds of. Yes, neighbors think of all kinds of things.
So how do I know when that inspection's scheduled? I just got to look out the door?
You gotta pay attention. You gotta pay attention when you see trucks out there.
So has that happened? You as a broker, I know you problem
Yes.
solve a lot.
Yes.
You have a good story for us about, we'll start there with a neighbor.
Yes.
With a neighbor that has sabotaged the sale. I'm sure they probably hated their neighbor and they just sabotaged it to screw over their neighbor. But
actually, one that I thought would have messed up the sale and ended up okay, the neighbor walked over and said, hey, can I come in the house too? And it was during the home inspection. I said, sure. He said, I'm friends with the guy who used to live here. And she said, we're buying it from a woman. He said, oh yeah, she shot him. I want to see if they patched up the wall yet. Yes.
But what are the disclosure laws when?
No, there's no. If they ask.
If they ask, you have to tell them. Mm-hmm. Did he die in that situation? Or she hit the wall?
Remember, I want to say he died.
So if somebody passes away in a home, a homeowner, a seller, a real estate agent does not have to disclose
Unless
that
you
automatically. But if you ask, legally they have to.
That's correct.
Do people even think to ask that?
Yes. In fact, we had people who said, I need to make sure no one's died in the house. We've had some people who wanted to know if there was a ghost in the house. We have no way of testing that. Really?
I'm pretty sure I never really asked, but I
ask.
Yeah, he kind of hinted towards.
They spent their
life because they were older and they weren't here very long.
Okay.
And they had some handicap type accessories put in the house that were abnormal. Yep. And I asked something and I stopped short of asking because I don't want to know. Because I really like the house. I'm like, do I care? Like,
Says
it
he who
wasn't a
has
murder.
a mannequin and a giraffe on his front porch. So
that is true. But that mannequin is my security system. So
it is true because it keeps anybody away. It's a mannequin.
Okay. All right, let's talk about beauty pageant Amy. See, I wanted to go to real estate last. I want to go back to young Amy. Tell us about Miss Beauty Pageant Amy that nobody knows. So that's, how many did you do? When did you start? Were you like the little tiara girl?
No, I wasn't toddlers and tiaras. And if you saw me as a child, you'd understand why.
But you were probably a heavy little girl, right?
Seriously, why are we friends? Why are we friends? I went through my stages. I fluctuate.
Did you really?
Yes.
I was just kidding.
For anybody that's supposed to get edited out, you're the only friend I had that would go, you gained weight? Or you called me, asked me if I was sick. I lost weight. I said, I lost some weight. You said, are you sick? I said, no. You said, you've never been that thin. I said, I was on a diet, David. You're like, you'll never keep it off. You did that to me.
I did. You did
that. And you're right.
You had lost a lot of weight. You always disappear and then lose weight. It was.
I was during COVID.
And you stopped going to boot camp, and then we assume if you stopped working out with us that
I'd be bigger.
Somewhere getting fatter.
I was focused on my journaling of what I eat. Okay, so pageants. Yes,
no,
I
that's
did.
true. I would never say any of that mean stuff.
Anyway, it's what makes us friends. So, yeah, I did a pageant in my hometown. They had one a year, Miss Irwin County Sweet Potato. Yes, I was a sweet potato princess, and I entered. So my friends were entering. I was in 8th grade.
So you won?
No. I actually got 4th runner-up.
Oh.
It was a big group, and I was so shocked. I didn't have a lot of self-esteem, and I thought, oh my gosh.
You did not have self-esteem?
No self-esteem. And I remember dancing off stage going, Mom, like, they like me. I thought I had won. And it was because there were girls that I looked up to that didn't play. So I thought, how could somebody think that I was worthy of being here and they what? Totally could not fathom this. The next year I went back to the same pageant. Different day, different dress. And dresses were expensive. And if you know anything about me, I came from a very modest family. So we had to rent it the next year. And it was not the most beautiful of gowns. But Mom said, just get out there and smile big. Nobody's going to notice your dress. And I thought that's the dumbest thing you could ever tell a teenager. Why would you say this? All lies. Got 1st runner-up.
Wow.
And that was kind of cool. Next year I went back. Won. I was Miss Georgia's sweet potato. It was junior miss. And so, no big deal. You don't really get any big prizes for that. But then comes college, when Miss Amy decides she's going to go to college. And I don't know why my parents were shocked. They will deny it to this day. My mom said, you can go to vocationals. You can go to VoTech. You can go work for your dad, or you can go work at a bank. But I really don't know if you're college material. She said she didn't say it. She did.
I wonder why you had low self-esteem.
Exactly. She denies it. But
Mom.
I promise, Dorothy did that. Oh, maybe it wasn't quite that harsh. Maybe I was a little sensitive. But she said, you can go to school, but you're going to have to pay for part of it. Well, at that time, Miss America was on TV, and I thought I could never do that. But the preliminaries, we had one that was local, and if you placed, you got money. And so I did it the first year, didn't place, didn't do anything, went back. I'd done a few locally, picked up $500 here, $1,000 there. I just wanted a crown. You come over, sometimes we can play in crowns. I finally won my first Miss Georgia preliminary, and it was enough to cover a good bit of that year's tuition. And then I realized, well, okay, there's something to this. Now, you got to think about the Miss America program at that time wasn't a beauty pageant. Okay, so 30% of your score came from interview, 40% of your score came from talent, and then 15 came from evening gown, 15% came from swimsuit.
They all want to know, what was the talent? I
was a singer.
A singer?
You never knew that?
I did not.
I was a singer, won talent a couple of times. Go figure.
That, so.
I think I was more of a performer than a singer. If you just close your eyes and listen, you're like, oh, she's okay. But if you covered your ears and watched, oh, she's good. You could sell it. But hey, can you stand in 4-inch heels with undergarments uncomfortable and evening gowns and answer a random question on stage and answer it in 30 seconds or less? It's just a lot of stress. Or stand in front of 5 people you've never met.
So that has benefited you very well in your job.
It was a turning point in my life.
So that's what I wanted to circle back to that.
Yeah.
So you said, do you have high self-esteem now? Or
yes.
normal? I don't want to say high, but do you have normal self-esteem?
Yes.
So my jokes, because I do make jokes because I feel like you are a confident person, or I would not make those type of jokes or those comments.
But you and I do that. We can poke and fun almost like siblings, probably more so than most people. We have a mutual respect for one another, but no, I had no self-esteem.
So what was the change? What was it? Was there a point, or did it happen that early, like during the pageants?
No.
Or was it as an adult? Did you find success for it? Was it?
It's more recent.
It was Peter.
No, it was not. Peter's wonderful. Peter is my husband.
You were like.
He's awesome.
It wasn't Peter. It was Peter.
So I always felt like an imposter. And so pageants, I learned to interview well. Whereas most kids in their early 20s or even their late teens are riding down the road listening to music, my mother was firing questions at me because I thrive on it. And okay, how do you feel about socialized medicine? How do you feel about euthanasia? How do you feel about the presidency? Why do you think young people aren't voting? Why? It was a firing squad, which ended up landing me every job I've ever had because there's nothing you can ask that I can't think on my feet, even if I don't have the right answer.
Okay.
And that's
we're going to test that later.
Gosh,
don't worry.
I knew I opened up that door.
And
I graduated debt free from college because of pageants.
Because of pageants.
But even into my 30s, I felt like an imposter. I always felt like I wasn't very smart. I married a man who was so smart. Oh my gosh, Peter's
smart.
He's a fixer. He's methodical. He's kind. He's so smart.
He cooks. He cleans.
He doesn't do. He does. He is a good cook. He is a very good cook. I do a mean load of laundry.
Do you?
I do.
Okay, I believe it.
I plant things.
I believe it because I've never seen Peter do laundry.
See, so Amy Gant does laundry. I don't do t-shirts. I hate t-shirts. Why should you wash and fold t-shirts?
You have to wash it.
I know, but folding
You
t-shirts
don't fold
is
it.
stupid.
Why would you fold it? I have a bin. It's just a round bin. I just whoosh.
Yeah, but then when you get it back out, it's gonna be wrinkled. I'm not gonna.
Who cares? It's a t-shirt.
I know. I guess. I can't do that either.
Okay.
I'm messy. Peter's
Well, if it's a
very
nice t-shirt that's on the outside, that's on a hanger for me.
I do hang a lot of t-shirts.
I
now.
hang t-shirts, but if it's a exercise shirt or
Okay,
a
guys.
undershirt,
No, they get.
that ain't folded.
Well,
That's
I
in a
get
bin.
things out of the dryer hot, and I snap them, and then it like gets all the wrinkles out, and then I hang them. I fold them from there. Have to do
Okay,
it
self-esteem.
24/7.
When did it happen?
David, more recent. You know what happened? I have suffered from imposter syndrome all of my teenage life, most of my early adult life, into midlife. I think I'm still middle-aged. When I finally stopped judging people, I felt less judged. Does that mean?
No. I just got jokes in my head. I'm laughing at that.
I always thought, when I leave a room, people are talking. First of all, I'm not that big of a deal. I'm not that interesting. But
No, but that's real.
you start rooting for every person in the room. You start finding good in people that they don't see in themselves. You change. And it's the coolest thing I've done. And it's really been probably the past 5 or 10 years.
So that's the fix. So if you were speaking to somebody with imposter syndrome, so if I had to define it, and I don't know, but
Yeah.
because I probably felt that way. Imposter syndrome means you've probably found success, or other people are congratulating you, or you got a good paycheck, but you're like, oh my God, if they really knew that was luck, or I don't even know the answer, I don't deserve this. Why am I even anywhere?
Yes.
So you feel like you're,
People give you compliments, you think, they're just being nice. You don't
So did
really
you
believe
have
that.
help getting past it, or you just figured that out? You just started doing that. It's like I'm tired of this. I gotta.
So I probably should have had a counselor. Truthfully, I didn't. But in what I do, is a lot of times I'm coaching people. Now, how do you coach people? You get coached yourself. And so I read a lot of books. I listen. I'm a complete dork. You want to talk about the brain? You want to talk about neuroplasticity and how mirror neurons work and things? I think I was on a mission to fix myself, but I didn't know it. That I wanted to fix everyone around me. And so at some point it clicked. So waking up every day, writing down 3 things you're grateful for. And I don't mean this stupid, like I'm grateful for my house. That's great. One of my favorite ones, and people who know me have heard this, one day I woke up and said, I'm grateful for messy countertops, because the kids and I had a food fight last night, just flipping beans on each other. When I wake up, I'm grateful for, oftentimes Peter will set a hot cup of coffee on my nightstand, or lemon water. We drink a lot of lemon water.
I think he should be one of your 3 every day.
But I'm grateful that this morning, I'm grateful that when I walk out, so my car is not programmed for our garage yet. For like 2 weeks now, I go out in the morning, I open the garage door, and my car is already backed out of the garage, and the garage door is closed. Because he knows it annoys me to have to get out of the car, go back, close the garage door.
Peter does that.
He's done that. It's the little things. But I'm so I couldn't control what time I get here. I can't control who's going to call, who's going to quit, whose contract's going to fall apart, what teenager's going to upset me. But I can control that few minutes of my day. And what it did was it started reshaping my brain, and it looks for good opportunities instead of, well, what's going to be screwed up today? And it has been a game changer. And telling people.
Yeah.
Our kids know each other. They make fun of me. I was stopped on Dogwood Trail today. They're doing construction. And the little guy's looking there. He's looking at me, kind of like, oh, what you doing? So I rolled down my window. I said, hey, it's not so hot yet, is it? He's like, no, it's not. I said, are you ready for this to be over? Just having a conversation with somebody holding a stop sign. And he looked so shocked. He said, ma'am, I hope you have a great day. I said, I hope you do too. I don't know if he was scared or if he felt seen, but either way, don't know, make
saying,
yeah, like a little fingerprint on
he's
somebody.
home crying right now.
Oh, hush. But you do that too, David. You root for the underdog.
I do because it's not done enough. Like, I think if I had a skill, or a talent, a weird talent, I notice what's not happening.
That's a condition. Okay, so brain, when did it change? 5 years ago, actually 6 years ago, I went to a real estate summit, and Dr. Daniel Amen was there. And he's this little bitty guy, but he is the premier leading expert on color spec brain imaging. Like, you think about, if you go to a psychiatrist, they give you medicine, but they can't see the organ they're treating. So is there proper blood flow? Is it functioning properly? Has there been a concussion? Are you predisposed to something? So he creates, for lack of better words, an MRI, but it tracks, and it's in color, and it tracks your blood flow. And so this is typically not covered by your insurance.
We did that for Aiden, yeah. Cost about $5,000.
Yep.
We did that for Aiden.
So did you do all the testing? Like, you're sitting there looking at faces. Are you happy, sad? You click them really fast.
His mother took him, but I paid the $5,000.
So my dad had a diagnosis, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't predisposed to the same thing. And so I wanted to take preventative measures. So when I did the color spec brain imaging, first he said, have you ever been treated for ADHD? I said, no, absolutely not. He said, you need to. Because they could tell based on the blood flow. But I have a spot.
I could have told you without the blood flow.
Hush. So there was a spot on my brain that he said, are you predisposed to negativity? I said, no, I don't think so at all. He said, do you ever stand in front of people, or are you ever in a teaching environment? I said, oh yes, I love to teach people. He said, do you notice the people who are happy or the people who are not happy in the room? When you enter a room, do you gravitate someone who is sad or in a corner, or the loudest people? You do this too. I am predisposed to noticing pain points in people. If I'm at a meeting, okay, they're good, but who's not good over here? It's a fixer. Now, here's the downside of that, is that can also lead to more anxiety, and sometimes even lead to depression in people because they feel like they're always wanting to fix someone. Ever heard that one? Yeah.
I don't.
It's an actual
condition. I've never really dealt with depression or anxiety. I have moments where I'm more like, I'm just done, and I'll like have to shut off from everybody for 48 hours, and then it's all gone. I'm back to normal. So
okay.
But one thing, odd that you said this, like when I'm at a football game and we're all cheering, go Dogs, and there's a play, and everybody disagrees. He wasn't offsides. I'm like, he was offsides. Like, and all of my friends are screaming that wasn't holding, and I've always felt like I was like, why do I always agree, or like I see the opposite? Like, I'm like, he was clearly offsides, and they're all
never seen you as a diplomat, but that's also the personality trait. Yeah.
I always thought it was weird because I was like, why am I the only one that?
And you're a diehard fan.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, but every time I was like, he was clearly holding. Like, why are you yelling? Yep. You know, or if he wasn't holding, it was like, well, I mean, they let it go.
You have a logical
weird.
Side.
Maybe I need to have a brain scan.
You learn a lot about yourself. And for instance, when I was 14, I was in a car accident and had amnesia. I have a 24-hour period where I remember bits and pieces, but none of it fits together. I hit my head on the side of a car. For years, my own parents said, yeah, I'm not sure if I believe her. She's just afraid she's going to get in trouble. I was with friends. Your brain is like, for lack of better words, a tub of butter. So if you drop it, there's an indentation. It doesn't break the butter, but it's bruised. Yeah. On this, it showed up. He said, Amy, what? Have you had head trauma? I said, no, I don't think so. He said, this could affect your memory. I went, 1987. Yes, I did.
So that is the same scam because they talked about those small concussions that we don't even remember can cause depression and all these mental health disorders that we're seeing.
Have scanned.
It comes from, because they looked and said, Aiden, did you have and we don't remember it.
I had a brain
We still couldn't think. And the guy said, you had a major concussion as a very young child in the front of your head. I was like, oh.
I had two. I had one on one side, which was dropped on my head.
Wow.
Accident, but I had brain bleed. It was
You're
not
looking good here.
It was in more recent years. I will say I did look at if I die, no. Peter's
Wait a
not
minute.
gonna
You
take
got
me
dropped
to
on your head recently?
one of the kids had a plate, and they were little, and I was laying down. They dropped it on my head by accident.
Oh, I thought you meant someone was carrying you and dropped you on your head.
No, somebody tried to carry me. I have a risk of being dropped on my head, but no. And Peter does not believe in going to a doctor unnecessarily, and so it's like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing stars. I don't know what to do. I'm very, very sleepy. He's like, well, just sleep it off. I had a brain bleed. Oh. Which he feels terrible about.
Oh, wait, that was Peter this time.
Peter. Perfect Peter.
Well,
Keep going.
Aiden had a hairline fracture in his leg, and he kept. So a hairline fracture in a kid, it hurts, but it's not going to stop him.
Right.
And so he would run around and like, oh, my legs hurt so bad. I'm like, you're just tired. Let's go home. No, and he'd run around. And then like 2 weeks later, he kept doing it. And we took him, and he had a hairline fracture. Yep. And the doctor was like, it's kind of been 2 weeks. There's really nothing you can do now.
And you feel like, just go ahead and take my paragon trophy. Yeah, we've done that.
Sorry, Aiden.
Broken fingers and things like that.
Yeah.
Grayson had a high tolerance to pain. He stuck a toothpick, perfed his eardrum, and we didn't take him to a doctor. We didn't know. He cried, and he was fine. The doctor said, his eardrum burst. Something ruptured his. Could that have been a toothpick? I think I know when that happened. Terrible parenting.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're bad. Okay. I want you to compliment another broker or real estate office.
Oh, gosh. This is actually kind of easy. Keep in mind, I was licensed as a new agent in Atlanta, so there were so many agents. And when I came to this area in 2006, it was a whole new way of doing things. So I'm going to say, first and foremost, we have some great brokers and some great agents here. I consider it a compliment if I would say I would invite you to my Sunday dinner table, or if I would trust you listing my own house. So obviously I'm going to start, with my own. I love Berkshire Hathaway. I think we've got great, just quality humans. I love these people. I was actually with a great brokerage today. Ansley, my friend Kaylee Butcher is a broker there, and she was with She was with Harry Norman, who's one of our sister companies. I think they're great, high caliber agents. So love Ansley.
I love Kaylee. I don't know Kaylee very well. I've known her. Cool. She's one of those people I've known her forever, but I just don't know her very well. But
she's still down there.
I ain't using the word energy, but it's become my new word. Like I don't have a better word of describing people. I like being around you, and we don't even talk. Like if I'm in the same room with Kaylee, somebody like that, we don't even have a lot of conversations. But I think it's just the way people smile. They just put off a good vibe.
Well, and again, we're in a unique market. We genuinely root for one another. Like DeSales. Yeah. I love DeSales. I think she's just class act. She's spunky. She's fun. She's smart. I love her group of people. I think DeGoling does a great job. I've got, even some of our smaller
She's the original Punky Brewster, I think.
I think
you said
so
spunky,
cool.
and I'm just like,
Punky.
She's the original Punky Brewster.
She's just cool.
In the best way.
She's just cool. Lots of respect for her. But I look at even some of our smaller brokerages too. I'm looking at like Tracy Fuller. But she's got insurance. She's got real estate going.
She's just
we used to work together. And she's just a kind human. Yeah. I've got like DeAndrea Rowland. She's got another small brokerage that she's out there just doing her thing. I mean, then we've got our other large brokers. We've got Keller Williams, we've got Metro Brokers, we've got Coldwell Banker. I'm gonna leave somebody out. But we've got a good group of humans out there doing good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think the good thing about it, probably why it's easy to compliment the brokers, is because they are hired because of the energy they put off. Like, because you're the face to the agents. Now, I wouldn't say the face of the company, because you're not in front of the buyer sellers, but you're the ones.
You're part of the tribe.
Yeah, you are the one do they enjoy coming to work every day?
Yeah.
And I think you've got to have a big energy, and you got to care and respond and be in the trenches and all those things. And I know so little about what y'all do, but I do know that.
Yeah.
Because I do know that there is big energy there with the people that are.
There is, and there's kind of for us, there's kind of blurred lines. This whole work-life balance thing, does it exist? It's a work-life blend for us. My agents call when we're having dinner, but I respond. I was texting somebody at 10 o'clock last night. I don't make a habit of it. But also, my kids may drop in at the office, and so we just kind of do life together because real estate's not 9 to 5. I answer my phone on vacation. I only hire people that I want to work with and that I love.
How many unanswered texts do you have right now on your phone?
Okay, but a lot of those are my mom or my sister, and so that really doesn't count. Maybe you. I did text you on the way over. No, you text, and like today I was in a meeting, and I looked at your text, and I start laughing. I'm on the front row, like, what did you say? I should read
You asked me a question, and you know how, like a month ago, you asked me something about podcasting, how I was doing something, and I ignored you, and I was like, I'm sure how it feels.
No, you sent an answer, but it was not the correct answer.
Oh, okay.
Your mom is never the correct answer, and I'm asking about.
Your mom is always the correct answer. You can never go wrong with your mom. Okay, so I want to talk about one serious thing.
Okay.
And then I want to get to the murder in Bibb County. Tipton County?
No.
Can we not talk about it?
No, that's disrespectful.
No, it's not.
Okay, I'll tell you what I know.
I'm not, okay, I don't want to make light of it.
No.
I just think it's very interesting.
For a small town to
have just a story, and that you knew the girl. I think that's
very
fascinating.
Yeah.
So
we'll talk about that. Okay.
I want to talk about redlining. I have another podcast I just recorded, and we wanted to talk about racism. Really, the goal wasn't to talk about racism. The goal was to talk about. I was asking the question that's not how it started. That's actually how I circled back to it. Is how do I get invited to the barbecue? I was questioning why I don't have a whole lot of black friends.
That shocks me.
Yes, and I started looking, and I actually chat GPT. Was like doing all this, and when I say friends, I'm talking about friends that I'm breaking bread with.
We
breaking bread with.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I have a lot of, but people that are coming to my house for dinner, that are inviting me over, that are coming to my Christmas party, that type. And that was the whole premise for the conversation: is has it changed? Is 2020 and all the riots and all that? Did that change things? Because I felt like I did have more before that. And that was the whole premise. And we got into talking a lot more into actual racism and what was still existing in their minds. And then I had the question. It was like, okay, well, I feel like we've come so far, and I feel like, the playing field is a lot more level, and we know about systematic racism. I'm not trying to get into that whole conversation.
Yeah.
But he asked about redlining.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know anything about real estate. He was like, is that real? And I had to tell him, I was like, well, yeah, historically it was real. It definitely was real. And it was horrible. And there's some major examples that people should Google and teach their kids so history doesn't repeat itself. All this to say, the other lady that was on there gave the example that just happened this year, that her friend is listing her house up in North Georgia, and her agent, they're both African American, advised her to take all of her, and I know we take all our family photos down. They said take anything down off of your walls that would reflect your race. She said her agent told her that. And she said, has anybody ever come in your house and said take anything white off your walls? Even though the one guy told me to take all my Georgia Bulldog stuff down. So that's kind of the same. All that long story just to... Do you think that still, obviously it's got to still exist, but how prevalent is it? Or I don't know. I don't even know what I'm asking, because I don't even know what the answer would be.
All right, I'm going to start with...
In any form, is redlining still exist? Do you think people are still buying, selling, looking, advising, anything? And I know there's a lot of things protecting and preventing those things, but...
Yeah. Now that really makes me stop and think, because here's the thing. It shouldn't. In the world we live in today, it should not. It 100% did exist previously, and we have rules and checks and balances in place, especially like the lendings when that was really happening, that you're approved for this but you're not approved for that. We even have testers in our market that are testing for fair housing. Someone being told to take down all the things, my last home that I sold, I staged it-ish, and then I had somebody else come in and go, your kids are cute, but you got to take them down, because people really shouldn't know anything about you so they can't have any bias. Now, I guess at the time I wasn't thinking about that being a race or a familial status or anything. but you want to make it neutral for anybody. The same thing would go for some of the historians that have things on their wall that can be considered offensive and things like that. I think it's personal preference as to how you stage your house, but I will always say keep it neutral.
Right. And I think more the reason I wanted to bring it up, because we talk so much about what does still exist in that realm as far as racism or systematic racism, and what can we do about it. And what we ended up with is more conversations, just acknowledging, like, the one thing he said that I thought was great, he said, if I tell you something's a problem, he said that was a big frustration from African-American people, was that when they just talk about a problem, we want to argue them out of it. And it's like, if I tell you this is how I feel, or this is what's going on, just listen to me.
It's real.
Just it's real. Maybe it's not real to you, but and I was like, oh my God. I was like, it was just
real. And I had this, my kids actually taught me, don't say me too. You're hijacking their story.
What about hashtag me too?
That happened to me once. We get so excited to be a part of someone else's journey that sometimes we'll hijack their experience. What you're feeling, whether it's real to anyone else or everyone else, it's true and it's real to you. David, I don't have the capacity to change the whole world. I do have the capacity to change from me to you at any given time, and you've got the capacity to change from you to me.
You got to listen to my podcast. I said the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I said,
scary.
Because I think Andy Stanton talked about it. He's like, stop trying to fix the world. Just fix your neighbor.
Fix 3 feet around.
Just bring your neighbor's trash can up one day.
Yes.
Just do that.
Talk to the guy at the construction site.
Talk to the guy at the construction site. Don't worry about fixing the world.
Pay for somebody's stuff behind you. Stop and compliment. Like, I love big hats. These women wear big hats to church. I was in South Georgia at the state council with my parents recently, and I watched my mother go and engage someone who had to have, it was a big lavender hat with big bow. And I thought, I'll be you when I grow up. And it made this woman's day. She said, well, you won't believe this. I got it on sale. And I watched my mother and I watched this woman talk. I had to go over and go, okay, we've all been eyeballing it. Complimenting somebody and genuinely meaning it, it creates that little sense of community.
Yeah. And
I think we all have some level of bias. Think about it, in kindergarten, you go to people who wear the same shoes or people who have the same haircut. I think it forms cliques, and then you start to have this almost like an unconscious bias. But talking about it starts to break down some of those walls.
Right. So I have good moments and bad moments with that, because I love the way people react when you just say, oh my God, I love it. If you just see somebody at the store, they're cashier, I love that shirt. And then half the time I'm conscious, like, oh my God, I just saw a TikTok where they're like, stop harassing me. Stop, And so I'm like so conscious about the line between complimenting somebody and being a creep.
Well, you can tell if somebody doesn't want to engage.
Right.
I teach little people on Sundays, and so
don't take the hat off and put it on my head and go, I love your hat.
No, don't even touch their hat unless they give you permission to. But I have a tendency, and I don't think about it, that when I talk to little people, I drop to my knees. So I may be in the middle of a parking lot or middle of a store in a suit or whatever, and when I'm talking to people, I drop to my knees so I can look them in the eye, because I'm used to doing that on Sundays. But usually I think if you're nice to someone's child, typically they know.
Oh, children. I thought you meant little. You said little.
Little people. Children, toddlers. Gosh, you're so cool.
Little people. What is the proper name for little people now?
Horizontally challenged. I don't know
what they're called, because it's definitely not the M word. You can't say that.
Why is that? I don't know why that's a bad thing, but
I don't know why anything's a bad thing.
I said vertically challenged.
Yeah, well, I'm horizontally challenged.
I might fluctuate, you know that. So it's what it is.
Huh? What are?
I don't know.
Small? They're not small people. Just I guess
was
you're
it
not.
Little People, Big World? There's a series about that. It's a reality show. I think it's for little people.
Love on the Spectrum. Oh my God.
I've only seen bits and pieces.
It's the best. It's the best. I'm trying to get Kay McEnroe to come on and talk about. So Kay's part of that foundation.
Okay, I didn't know where you were going with this.
I just had lunch with Kay. We had a conversation. She Southern Support?
Southside Support.
Southside Support.
Oh my gosh,
She was telling me about that. Incredible.
They meet in our office, and I just kind of eavesdrop. They do such great things, and so few people know it. I mean,
so she had never heard of Love on the Spectrum, and granted, I've heard of it for a long time, but I just started watching it.
Yeah.
And it is incredible. It's like, to me, it's almost Ted Lasso level.
It gives you
encouragement.
It gives you a different perspective and better understanding. It's kind of like, I think, traveling the world, meeting different people, different cultures, gives you a different understanding of how unique and how close we all are. Everybody wants to be seen. Even the ones that want to be left alone. They don't want you engaging, but just, hey, good job over there. Love is a connector. And it kind of shows up in all forms. I mean, giving respect to someone who's not used to having it catches them off guard.
But even
disarms them.
Yeah, but even I've had podcasts about grief, but how do you talk to people and to listen to how they have like coaches when they're going on a date. They'll have a coach, and she was like, the girl wanted to take her dolls, and she was like, my friends keep telling me not to take any dolls, and the coach was like, would you want to take dolls? She was like, I'd really like to take dolls. And she goes, well, how many dolls do you think you could go and be okay with? She's like, 4. She was like, then yeah, you should take 4 dolls. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what clicked in my head, but I'm just going, something that I would have thought was so weird. I'm going, wow, that's important to her. Mm-hmm. Like, that's important to her to have those. That was her comfort. Like,
but the coach didn't tell her what she could or couldn't do.
No, she asked her.
Is
this important? Like, why your friends are telling you can't take dolls? She's like, yeah, you should take them. If that's what makes you feel good, by God, you should take them. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love it. I think that's when I fell in love with the show, because that dialogue and just talking to her.
She saw her.
About,
she met her where she was.
She did. It was incredible. It was incredible. I love it. I love their personalities, and just, I don't know. I think I've learned, because I've always been uncomfortable around special needs because I don't spend any time with them.
Oh, see, I was a volunteer for years, and so
I've started recently.
That was actually my platform in Georgia, was getting more people involved with special needs individuals.
So was it special needs, Miss Georgia?
Well, maybe, but no, it was. I volunteered with Special Olympics for years, and so you know what their oath is when they go to have their Olympics. Have you heard their Special Olympic oath?
I volunteered at the Special Olympics twice, but I don't.
Let me win. If I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt.
Yeah,
and think about
that's cool.
That's a pretty cool motto for all of us.
Yeah,
just be brave in the attempt.
But let me win too.
Let me win. But if I can't win,
yeah, like I love that, because I think sometimes in our society recently we've taken away the "let me win" part. And it's just been like, just be happy with you can still strive to let me win, but if I can't.
But my best lessons were from losing. I mean, you go back to pageants, you go back to sports. My mom said, you better learn to be a gracious loser. Actually, I think what she said was, if you're a bratty winner or if you're a bratty loser, I'll pull your butt out of here so quick you'll never do them again. I think those were closer to what she said.
Are there home videos of your mom? Because I could just imagine she was she's like a That 70s Show mom that was just hardcore.
But now my dad, they go, okay, it's down to the final 3. I think she's got it, Daddy said, no, I think number 4 is going to beat her. She's just going to I mean, my dad, I won Miss Columbus USA. It's for all the Columbuses. Oh, it's like 13. In the nation go, you compete in Columbus, Ohio. It's hosted by the Italian American Association. They host all these states. And it's predominantly, picture more of a sales pitch for your city. But it was good scholarship money. And I win. You've got my sweet Southern daddy going, golly bum, I can't believe she did that. Dorothy, can you believe she won? I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Video's running.
There is a cartoon, what is it? Where they got like a little redneck house in the middle of a big city.
I forget what it's called. Yes.
That impression just made.
Yes, you have to hear
I felt
it.
like that was your dad.
Yeah. He's a sweetheart.
All right, let's wrap it up. Nobody's listening at this point anyway. So let's wrap it up with much respect about the story of the young lady. I don't want to talk about all the details, but there was a murder in your town.
Yeah.
Very prominent.
More so than I would have ever
Do you think was it more prominent with the podcast that came out, 20 years afterwards?
Not quite 20. This happened in 2005. So, but probably a good 10 years.
So 10 years afterwards.
Yeah. This happened in the fall of 2005. She was beautiful. She was a school teacher. She went missing. I remember...
Was she a pageant
She was a
girl?
pageant girl.
Yeah, she was, I remember she was
competed in
beautiful, and
Georgia.
that was part of the.
Yeah, and then she was a history buff. She was a high school history teacher. She disappeared, and it's nothing like being home with like a 2-week-old or 3-week-old baby, and your caller ID says the GBI is calling.
And you were.
I was in Atlanta by now.
You were in Atlanta by now.
And they called me,
but
asked
you
me
knew
if
her.
I
very
knew her.
well.
I said, of course I know her. And he said, when was the last time you spoke to her? I said, I don't know, month, 2 months, 3. So why, has there been a reason? I said, well, yeah, I just had a baby. I've been at home with the baby. And they talked about things that would have been on her computer, things, basically, when you see it later on CNN, you see they're painting her kitchen on, there's our holiday car with Peter and I on our refrigerator and things like that. So it was a cold case. There were a lot of accusations.
A lot. It's an amazing podcast.
And I actually got a call. I don't know Payne as well, the podcaster, but he'd even called. I just thought, when people die, people tend to sling your dirty laundry, both true and untrue, everywhere.
Yeah. And you can't erase it once it's out there. Well, no, like, even if it's obvious.
Don't talk about people who aren't here to defend themselves. Yeah. That just, I thought the one woman missed you with anybody who called and stop saying these things. You have no proof that these things are true. But this podcast, everybody started listening to it. I stopped going home. I stopped because one of you did something. It's kind of like there's a murderer among us. I said, it was like a dark cloud looming. Mm. Now, since then, I really credit the podcast for getting the interest back on this cold case. They did find and arrest someone local.
So what is the update? Because didn't he confess initially? And then, I don't know if you told me or somebody said that he confessed.
The person who confessed may not have actually.
But then they backed out. So like we thought it was all solved and he confessed.
His friend was actually the murderer.
So is it resolved
Yes.
at this point?
Yes. I'm not sure if he's been fully sentenced, but he went on a series committing several other crimes after that. Once he realized
he can get away with it.
Yeah. And
did everybody know?
Apparently more people knew than we were aware of.
Yeah, because they kept saying in the podcast, they kept talking about how
a girlfriend knew.
They were like, they told the police. I remember Jimmy telling the police that he did it, but it was all to that guy that evidently didn't do it.
Yeah.
That was fascinating.
It was so unhinged to think about the sweet, quaint, small towns, just great people, and the families of the guys, both the victim and the people who committed it. They're good people, but it went off the rails somewhere and was a heinous act.
Horrible.
Yeah,
it was terrible. I mean,
it was.
I don't know if that's what makes it so interesting that young people could do something so horrible.
It takes days and
horrible. Yes, that wasn't an impulse.
No,
it was continual for years. And
yeah, you look at the people like the girlfriends, the ex-wives, people who were involved that kind of like were taunting him maybe with, oh, we could let this out. And,
have they picked up more episodes of the podcast? Do I need to go look?
I don't know. I want to say they put it to bed. Honestly,
with that last information, because I stopped before even the trial or the first one. So the guy that confessed, is he out? And
no, he's behind bars.
For what?
Oh, so that guy, I think he may be out. He may have been charged with an accessory. I'm not sure.